Who's- So in that one, we will be taking an example Apache. So we will be having a two versions there, version 1 and version 2 will be there, and we will see what is the difference, all those things. So in the today's class, we will be discussing with respect to the flume concept. So in the today's class, we will be discussing with respect to the flume. So what do you mean by flume means? It is either we can tell it as it is a service, or we can tell it as what tools, or we can tell it as what data integration. Then for what purpose we will be using this? We will be collecting the large amount of the data. It can be your files, or it can be your events that has to work with respect to your centralized data source. So the Apache Flume, we can say it as what? It is a tool, or it is a service, or it can be a data integration mechanism. We are going to collect an aggregation. Aggregation is nothing but large number of records, or the large number of the data we will be collecting. Once you are going to collect the data, we are going to stream the data with the large amount. So for this particular case, what I can say is, so generally we will be using, how we are going to make use of copying the data from the various web servers, all those things. Now same thing I will be applying with respect to the centralized data source. So it can be highly reliable, it can be distributed, and it can be a configuration tool. Mainly we will be using for the copy streaming data such as log data from the various web servers to the HDFS. What do you mean by HDFS? HDFS is nothing but your Hadoop distributed file system. So in your examination also they will be asking, write a short note on Flume, they will be asking. So by tomorrow's class I'll show you the previous year's question paper. So I also downloaded the previous year's question paper, so that I'll show you that in the module 1 what type of questions we can expect, module 2 what type of questions we can expect. So tomorrow I'll display the question paper in the beginning of the class. So in this particular case, we will be talking with respect to Flume. So it is a highly reliable, it can be distributed, and it can be a configuration tools we will be specifying. So it is mainly designed for the copy streaming data from the various web servers to the HDFS. So since we will be looking in terms of command, so the second module, basically we will be discussing with respect to the essential Hadoop tools. We need to talk with respect to the commands only. I'll repeat once again. Since we need to discuss with respect to the tools, we need to talk with respect to the commands, this one. So in this particular case, we will be learning various commands, all those things. In this particular case, we will be learning various commands, all those things. In that particular case, we will be learning some few important commands. In that for what purpose we will be taking all those things we will be discussing. The first thing we will be discussing is put command. I'll repeat once again. We will be discussing first is put command. So what is the main challenge with respect to the Flume is nothing but we will be collecting the large data. Okay, once we will be collecting the large amount of the data, when that particular data is moving with respect to the logs. So logs is nothing but we will be containing one particular records there. Whenever you're going to see that particular record, and we will be checking how the operation has been done. In this particular case, the operation will be done with respect to the how the multiple servers which will be connected to the Hadoop environment. So we will be checking how the multiple servers are connected to the Hadoop environment. So we will be providing the various commands we will be having to insert the data into the Hadoop and read from it. So we will be having a large amount of the data. That data we need to read and we need to write all those things. So like your RDBMS concept, we will be inserting the data, we will be deleting the data, we will be like the drop, exit, all those things we will be using the command. So in this particular case, we will be using put command. Whenever you're going to set the put command, it will check with respect to the path of the required file, okay, where the file has to be saved. For that one, I am going to make use of dollar Hadoop symbol. Fs is nothing but we will be making use of file system. Put I will be using. So in that particular case, what we will be discussing in the put means path of the required file. So we will be having what path of the required file where the file has to be saved. Where the file has to be saved. So next, what we will be discussing is, we have discussed with respect to the put command. For what purpose we will be using the put command? So put command means we will be checking where the file has to be saved, and what are the files we want. We will be having a large number of files. For that particular large number of files, how the data we need to insert, how we are going to read the data, how we are going to form the multiple servers, how you are going to produce the multiple servers for the Hadoop environment. Okay, so in this particular case, whenever we will be using the put command, means put command is mainly used for transferring the data from the source to the HDFS. That is nothing but, I told you that as you how the copy operation will be doing, like your copy paste operation is there, no, like that we will be discussing with respect to the put command. So in this particular case, we are going to transfer the data. In this particular case, how whenever you are going to transfer the data from the source to the HDFS, HDFS is nothing but your Hadoop distributed file system. We will be having a certain drawbacks here. So we will be seeing what are the drawbacks, all those things. So first thing, when we need to transfer only one file at a time. I told you that there will be a bulk of data will be there. There will be a large amount of the data will be there. Whenever you are going to see the large amount of the data, we need to transfer the data. Whenever we need to transfer the data, we will be taking with respect to the one particular file. So to transfer the data, we will be taking only one particular file at a time. Whenever you are going to take one particular data to transfer, you will be having two things. One is sender and one more is receiver. Okay, you will be having sender and you will be having a receiver. So whenever the data generator generates the data much rate, the analysis made the older rate will be accurate. That is nothing but as usual. So you will be having the old data and you will be having one more new data, all those things. So for example, let us consider your softwares, all those things. This particular month you may get some particular version like 11 version, or the next month you will be getting 12, next month you will be getting 13, next month you will be getting 14, like that you will be getting an updated version, all those things. So whenever you are going to get an updated version, all those things, we will not concentrate on your old version. So we will be concentrating with respect to the new version. Like that we will be storing the large amount of the data. In that particular data we will be generating, we will be sending the data to the centralized servers. So whenever we are going to send to the centralized servers, we will be checking how far the transfer of the data it will be taken place, all those things. So before sending the data, we need to follow certain things. One is we need to pack is nothing but we will be making certain groups there. For example, let us consider your computer graphics. In the computer graphics, we have used OpenGL software. In the OpenGL software, to run the program, we want some library files, all those things. So that will be having a packages. For example, one particular program I need to get in terms of triangle. For that one, it will take the library files. So which are the things we want for taking triangles or taking points, all those things. Like that, we will be having an inbuilt commands in this particular case. So in this particular inbuilt commands, so we will be checking what type of data we need to transfer and what type of the data we need to store that particular data, how we are going to copy the data from the source to the destination part. Destination is nothing but we will be telling as what centralized servers. Source is nothing but we will be having sender part. So we will be having a large number of the data. That large number of the data first we need to upload. We will be, before uploading, once we will be checking the data whether all the files is there or not. Once everything is fine, we are going to generate the data, all those things. So generating the data with respect to the single file is easy, but whenever you are going to send more number of the data for the transfer, all those things, it will become a difficult task. So to overcome that one, we will be to overcome the drawback of your put command, we will be making use of streaming data from the data generators. So streaming data from the data generators to the centralized stores. Here I can say it as what data generator, it can be your senders, centralized server is nothing but a destination part. Especially we will be taking with respect to your Hadoop, that is nothing but your distributed file systems with a lesser delay. So these are the available solutions. You will be getting Facebook, Scribe, Apache Flume, that all those things. So the next things comes applications of your Flume. The next part we will be discussing is your applications of flume. So in this particular case, generally we will be talking with respect to the e-commerce, all those things. So in this particular e-commerce, we will be making use of certain applications. So for example, what they are going to do now, the first thing they want to catch the customers. So to catch the customers, they are going to tell that service will be provided free of cost, or they may tell that with respect to the app I'm telling, so that if you see the app once before, if you are going to see that, you will be checking the ratings. So what ratings you got with respect to that particular case? One second, some network issues I think. One second. Sorry, there was a network issue. First what they're going to do now, first the customer will be behaving properly with whatever the thing is there. First the customer will be checking the ratings, what ratings in the app. For example, whenever you are going to select the college, you will be checking in the website, for example, whether the placement is good, or campus is fine, all those things. So based upon infrastructure also you will be seeing, based upon the academics also you will be seeing. So in this particular flume also we will be looking with respect to the customer's behavior at a particular region. For example, I told you that you will be having more number of data will be there. For that more number of data, we need to analyze, so whether this particular data will be useful for this particular instance, how we can be generated. So there are more. I told you that you will be having a sender part and you will be having a receiver part. So in this particular case, what operations we are going to do? We are going to transfer the data from your sender to the receiver. So whenever you are going to transfer the data from the sender to the receiver, main thing you will be checking with respect to the time as well as your speed. For example, if you want to copy one particular file to the another particular, one particular folder will be there, if you want to copy with respect to the one more folder in your laptop, so if it is taking more time, what you will be doing? So you'll be getting bored. So if we take within a fraction of second, whatever the files is there, it has to copy with respect to, so in that particular case also we will be checking with respect to the time matters there. So whatever the data we will be transferring, or whatever the data you need to upload, whether it is working faster, all those things we will be checking. So next we will be checking with respect to the advantages. So first thing we will be checking with respect to using the Apache Flume, we can store the data in the any of the centralized server. So what are the centralized servers you can take? One you can take is as HDFS, that is Hadoop Distributed File Systems you can take, or HBase you will be taking. HBase is nothing but your Hadoop base we will be checking. So the next thing we will be checking with respect to the incoming data, how the incoming data, uh, how the data it can be returned to the destination, what operations you need to get, and how the interface will be taken place with the help of centralized servers, all those things. So the main important thing we will be checking that the incoming data should be exceeds at a rate which the data can be returned to the destination. So I told you that. So in this particular case, we will be having more number of the data. Bulk of data will be there. In this bulk of data, we will be having certain memory also. So in this particular case, we will be having certain limits. So this particular data or this particular file should move from one particular part to the another part, which has basically we will be dealing with respect to the messages only, as your sender and receivers will be there now. So whatever the messages you may send, but the messages should be guaranteed. No, we should check that particular case also. If I want to tell some real time example, means in your WhatsApp also. So whenever you are going to send the message, so that you are going to get single tick, that means that the message has been delivered. So you will be having the guarantee, yes, whatever the messages we are sending, it has delivered to the receiver part. In this particular case also, we will be checking whatever the messages you may send from, we will be having two channels here. So as usual, two channels, or I can say it as what, two transaction, one with respect to the sender or one with respect to the receiver. So we will be sending the messages, whatever the messages you are going to send, that messages should deliver. That is the thing we will be checking. So in this particular case, we will be having reliable, we will be having fault tolerance, scalable, manageable, as well as your customizable. So the next part we will be checking is Apache Flume architecture. We will be checking. So whenever it comes to the architecture part, you will be having two things. One is data generator and one more is data collectors. So in the data generators, we will be looking with respect to the social medias, that is your, it can be your Facebook or it can be your Twitter. So collectors is nothing but agents. We will be telling that. So agent is nothing but that agent, the main operation is they are going to check the data whether it is an aggregated, which is mainly we have sent that particular data to the centralized source or not, we will be checking. So there are various cases. So I told you that you will be getting two things. One is data generators and data collectors. So in this particular case, you will be getting in the data generators, you will be having Facebook, you will be having Twitters, all those things. What is the main operations we will be doing in the data generator means we are going to generate the data which gets collected from the individual frames. So I can tell it as what, this is what the sender part. So sender means we are going to generate the data which is mainly collected by the individual flame. Individual flames means, so we will be checking what operations to be done, what data we have, everything we will be checking in this particular generator. Whatever the data you are going to store, that we will be sending to the collector part. In the collector, what we will be discussing is it collects the data from the agent. Agent is nothing but resources, we can tell. So it can, which is aggregate, so and it can be pushed into a centralized store such as HDFS or the HBase. This is what the architecture we can say. So I told you two things. One is a generator and one more is centralized store. So in the data generators, we will be having cloud, we will be having Facebook, Twitter, web servers. So interface is nothing but your flume. So the last part is nothing but your server part. I can say it as what? Centralized stores. Centralized stores. One second. This is what the architecture. So in the, if you see the left part, that is the sender part, you may find the cloud, you may find the Facebook. These are the examples they have taken: cloud, Facebook, Twitter, web servers, all those things. So basically we will be performing the data generator operations. So whatever the data generators you have collected, whatever the data you have collected, first I am going to log or the event. Event is nothing but which performs the task. So event is nothing but to perform the task. Log is nothing but we are going to maintain the records of that particular data, and we are going to make an interface. Interface is nothing but a flume. So I told you that in the flume generally we will be performing the data streaming operation. Data streaming means we are going to transfer the data from one particular part to the another part. So in this particular case, whatever the operations you are going to do, the final output you will be getting in terms of HDFS or with respect to the HBase, that will be stored it in your centralized server. Previous slide I told you that. Can you see here data collector? In the data collector which collects the data, whenever it collects the data from the agents, so it will be aggregated and it will be pushed, where it will be pushed to the centralized store. So it can be your HDFS or the HBase part, it will be stored. Okay, this is what the architecture we will be discussing. So this is what one of the things we will be discussing. One servers will be there. The server will be sent to the source, and you'll be getting two channels. The two channels, it can be your senders and the receivers. So once this operation has been completed, it will be moved to the sink. Finally, it will be stored it in your HDFS. So basic in this, if you see this particular diagram, in the left part you can see the servers part. The servers part will be pushing that particular data to the source, or in that particular source we will be sending to the channel part. In this channel you will be getting two things. One is data generator and data collectors. So once this particular operation has been done, we will be pushing to the sink. The operation has been done. That will be in turn will be stored it in your HDFS server. So basically this particular operations will be maintained by your agents. So one or more agents will be there. So it will check the operations. So this is what the architecture. In this particular architecture, you will be, can you see their data generators will be there. We are going to generate the data with the many agents. So for example, you can have one particular agent or 2, 3, n. With the n number of agents you can perform based upon how much data you have taken. If you take small amount of the data, only 1 or 2 agents is sufficient. If you are going to take bulk data, so that we will be sharing that particular whatever the data is there or whatever the information is there to agents to perform the operation. So whenever, for example, one example I will give. So to develop a software, you can't develop the software easily by only with respect to the one person's all those things. To develop a software, first thing is we want the requirement. Once you got the requirement, design they are going to make. Once the design has been done, implementation part they are going to do. Once implementation done, testing will be done. Once the testing has been done before the delivery of the software, so they are going to check whether my software is working properly or not. So for example, one particular people will be working with respect to the development team, and one more team will be working with respect to the testing, and one more they are going to work with respect to the design. That means that to develop one particular software, these are the much hands we want. So like that, in this particular Apache Flume also. So finally, to store in the centralized server, only one particular agent can't perform the operation. So in this particular case, we will be having 3 or more number of agents you will be getting. So in this particular case, how you are going to store the data and how you are going to perform the operations, everything we will be checking in terms of agents. So that particular, if you see the diagram itself, you can understand one generator will be there. Whatever the generator is there, we are going to give transfers the files to all the supporting agents, all those things. With that particular agent, once the operation has been completed, all the agent what the operation they have done, it will be sent back to the collectors. Once the collectors receives an information, you will make the consolidation and it will be stored it in your centralized stores. So next is agent. So we were talking with respect to the agent, all those things. Agent is nothing but your independent daemon process. So in the JVM, we will be performing in the flumes. So it receives the data. The event is nothing but operation, some task, what task we need to perform, from where to where we need to perform. So from the clients or other agents, forward it to the next destination. So what I want to do, or what I want to say is, see, for example, we have assigned 5 agents. Okay, we have assigned 5 agents. For one particular agent have given one particular file, and second agent have given one more file. For the third, fourth, fifth have given separate work. So first I will be checking with respect to the agent one, whether whatever the operations we have given, whether he has completed the task. If he has completed the task, it will be moved to the agent 2, because with the help of the agent 2, we will be performing the task with respect to the agent 3. Finally, the whatever the last operation, the agent 5, he can't perform the operation fast. With the help of all the operations with respect to the 1, 2, 3, 4, so the fifth guy will be consolidating with respect to that particular operation. So generally we will be talking with respect to the clients here. So client is nothing but people, whatever it may be. It can be your stakeholders, all those things. So it receives the data. It can be in terms of event from the client or the other agents. So whenever you are going to receive, so it will be forward to the next destination. That means that we have completed the operation, so that you can provide much more files to complete the task. So in this particular case, you will be having a source, you will be having a sink, and you will be having an agent. Source is nothing but your initial, we will be sending the file, and once whatever the source you are going to get, that will be moved to your flume part. Whenever the operation has been completed, finally it will be sent back to your sync part. Okay, like your this one, source, interface, sync, that's all. So they have told what do you mean by source. So source is a component of an agent which receives the data from the data generator and transfer it one or more channel in the form of flume event. So I told you that in the beginning operation it has to be done with respect to the source only. Source means we can tell it as what agent. One agent will be there. What the agent will do? The agent will receive the data. From where it will receive the data? Is going to receive the data from the data generators. So whatever the thing I'm going to tell in this particular case, we used to talk with respect to only with respect to the data or with respect to the files. So in this particular data subject itself, we used to tell that big data analytics as big data analytics. So we used to talk with respect to the data, how much data we will be storing, whether the small amount of the data we are going to store or whether the large amount of the data we are going to store. Everything we will be checking based upon how much the memory it should occupy. So in this particular case, we are talking with respect to the source. Source is nothing but what we will be taking as one particular agent. So in this particular agent, we will be receiving the data. So where we will be receiving the data from the data generators we will be receiving, and we are going to transfer one or more channel. So one or more channel is nothing but your data collectors or data senders. So I told you that you will be getting two channels. So one thing I want to tell you that easily I can say, you will be having in the left part source, interface is nothing but your channel, the right part you will be getting as what sync. So in this particular case, we will be sending the data. Whenever you are going to send the data, the operation will be done. Once the operation has been done, everything will be stored it in your server part, centralized server. For that one, they are telling in terms of this particular case. In this particular case, source, I can tell it as what it can be your Facebook, or it can be your Twitter, or it can be your thrift stores, etc. These are the files, or these are the data I can use in your source part. Okay, so this is what in the source we are going to take either in terms of Facebook or in terms of thrift stores or in terms of Twitters I will be taking. Okay. So next thing, with the help of Apache Flume, how we are going to support with the help of Apache Flume, how you are going to support. So in this particular case, we will be having various types of source will be there. So one particular source, the event will be receiving from the data generator. For example, you will be having a source. From the source, you will be having the data. From the data, will be sending to the data generator. From the data generator, we will be telling that what operations to be done. So that operations will be performed in your channel part. So channel, next thing he has told that channel. So channel is a transmit store which receives the event from the source and buffer them till they are consumed by the sync. That means that what they are going to do, whatever the data you are going to send to the channel, first it will store it. Once it will store it, it will perform the operations. So when the operation has been completed, it will be buffer them till consumed by the sync. So it will be storing that particular part. So we'll be having one temporary storage there. So in that particular storage it will be there. Once the sync will be asking to send that particular operation, so till then we will be saving that particular data. So one simple word I can say it as what, it acts as a bridge between your source and the sync. That's all. So bridge between your source and the sync. So in this particular case, the channels are fully transactional. These channels are fully transactional and they can work with the any number of source and the sync. There is no restrictions also. So they are telling that any number of source you can send, any number of syncs you can send, so that they can work. There is no limit. One second. Okay. In this particular case, like your Java, you will be having some interface called JDBC, ODBC, all those things. Now, we used to take with respect to the JDBC channel here. So it acts as an interface. So file system channel you can have, memory channels you can have, etc. So interface it can be it can be your channels. I told you that various channels you will be getting. The channels is nothing but your interfaces, how you are going to perform the operation. It can be your JDBC, or it can be your file system, or it can be your memory channel. So the next part is sync. Sync means we will be storing the data. Finally, whatever the operations you will be completing, that operations I will be storing in your data. It can be finally whatever the operations you have done, it will be storing in your HBase HDFS, that is nothing but a Hadoop distributed file systems. So I told you that in this particular case also we will be getting the information from the channels. Once the information channel has been arrived, it will delivers to the destination. The destination of the sync might be your another agent for the centralized source. So it can be stored in your HDFS sync. So the next part what we will be discussing is setting multi-agent flow. So in the multi-agent flow means, so I told you that there will be a source and there will be a sink. So that in the middle case you need to have some particular channels, all those things. So to have a, I told you that we have performed the operation with respect to the single agent, or I told you that you can perform the operation with respect to the multiple agents, all those things. So whenever you are going to perform the multiple operation with respect to the many agents, all those things, we want the IP address and the port of your source. That's all. So I told you that so source is there, sync is there, only one agent is there, so that you can perform the operation easily. You can perform the operation with the faster, all those things. So if you are going to take more number of operations is there, so if more number of agents is there, if you are having more number of agents, we need to check with respect to the previous agent whether the operation has been completed. Once the previous operation has been completed, it will be moved to the current operations to be performed, all those things. So multi-agent means we will be having we need to have IP address and port of your source part. So before reaching the final destination, all those things, each event may travel through the more than one particular agent. It can be a multi-hop flow. So one example I will give, from your home to the college. Don't think that only one road is there. Yes or no, only one path is there. So that you can come from many paths. Source is, for example, source it can be your home, destination it can be your college. So don't think that from your home to college only one path is there. So you can have many paths, all those things. In one path you may find many vehicles. So in the one more path you may find less vehicles. One more path you may not find vehicles at all. So in this particular case also we will be having a multiple agent. So in this particular multiple agent we will be checking how fast we will be reaching with respect to the final destination, how they are going to travel with respect to more than one agent. So if you are going to perform the operation with respect to more than one particular agent, for that particular case we will be telling as what multi-agent flow. This is what the diagram you can see: source for channel, sync, event, so RPC. So you will be having the multiple agents. So one part in the left, whatever the box you are going to see, that is particularly one agent. So one more is nothing but your one more agent. So we will be having a link from the previous sync to source to perform the operation. So initially you will be getting source, from the source to channel, from channel to sync. This is what one particular agent I will be getting. So one more particular agent to make a multiple agent means you will be having same operation with respect to source bar, channel, all those things. Fo and bar, they have given one particular names, that's all. Well, so for one particular agent they have taken it as fo, and one more it taken it as bar. You can take one more agent also with the giving different names, all those things. This consolidation I'll do it in the next class. So I'll recap today whatever the thing I have done today's class. So in the today's class we have discussed with respect to the flumes. Flumes is nothing but your tools or the services or the data integration. So why we will be using to collect the data it has to aggregate, and we will be transporting large amount of the data. It can be your log files or it can be your events, from where to where, from source to the data source. So it can be a configurable tool, it can be a distributed, or it can be a reliable. Basically the flume is mainly used for designing the data, that is streaming the data. From streaming is nothing but we are going to copy the data, that is nothing but your log record. Log data is nothing but we will be keeping the records, and we will be checking whatever the file we have send it from where to where, from the servers to the HDFS. So in this particular case I told you that module 2 we are going to discuss with respect to the essential Hadoop tools. Basically, we will be talking with respect to the commands only. So the one particular command I am going to use is put command. It will check the path of the required file and where it has to save that particular file. So how we are going to insert the data into the Hadoop, how we are going to read the command, it will be taken place with respect to the file system shell operate this one. So what is an important challenge with respect to this particular case means you will be handling the log data. Log data means you will be having a more records will be there. In this particular more records, how we are going to move these logs with the multiple servers to the Hadoop environment. So there are various operations will be doing. So in this, the next thing we have discussed the put command. So it transfers the data from the source to the HDFS. Only one file it can transfer at a time. So you will be having a generators data generator. Basically it will generate the data for the higher rate, and you will be whenever the new versions you are going to get, whenever the new data you are going to get, the older data will be accurate. Lesser speed you are going to be getting with respect to the transferring purposes. So next thing is how we want how the data is needed to be packaged and how we are going to upload that particular data. Next thing is how we are going to generate the data continuously. So with the help of the servers, with the help of the task, how you are going to check the data and based upon which operations you need to perform. So to overcome this one, we will be using this put command. So these are the available solution, that is Facebook Stripe, Apache Flume. So applications I told with respect to the e-commerce and data logs, which is mainly generated by the application servers into the HDFS with the higher speed. When it comes to the advantages, we can store the data in the centralized stores with the contextual routings you will be getting. So in this particular case, we will be having source and we will be having a destination. So in the middle case, we will be having the channels. Channel, it can be our transactions. How we are going to send the message, whenever you are going to send the message, whether it has been delivered to the destination. So it can be a reliable or it can be a fault tolerance, scalable, manageable, customizable. So I told you that in the Apache Flume, we will be getting two things. One is data generator, data collector. So data generator example, it can be your Facebook or Twitter. Collector is nothing but an example as agent. What the data generator will do, it will generate the data from the individual Flume. So we are going to collect the data from the individual loop. So in this one, for example, we will be performing one operations or the two operations or the three operations. You can perform multiple agent operations also. Collector means we are going to collect the data from the agent, which can be aggregated and which is pushed into the centralized storage. So it can be our HDFS, that is Hadoop distributed file system. This is what the architecture we have discussed. So the left part, if you are going to see, means a data generator. The right part you can see is nothing but a centralized storage. Whatever the result you are going to get, that result I will be storing in your server part. Server is nothing but a centralized storage part I will be storing. So in the left part, if we have told that data generators is there. So it can be your cloud, or it can be your Facebook, or it can be your Twitter, or it can be your web servers. Next is log or the event data. So we are going to maintain the records. We are going to Flume. Flume is nothing but your interface. Finally, we'll be storing it in the server part. So next is architecture, that is server. Server will be sent to the source. From the source, we will be getting the channel. From the channel to the sink, and next finally to the HDFS. This is what the architecture. You will be having initially the data generators. You will be having a multiple agents. That is n number of agents you may get depending on how much data you have taken.